This is Dr. Marty Rossman from The Healing Mind, and I want to talk to you today about weight loss and how to gain control over emotional eating, one of the most important factors in losing weight and keeping the weight off. There's a link below that will connect you to a short guided imagery process that you can use when you sit down to eat that will help you become more present and mindful when you eat, and that will almost instantaneously begin to help you move away from unconscious emotional eating. Emotional eating is thought to account for something like 75% of people's difficulties in losing weight. And it's simply eating not for fuel and not for nutrition, but eating to numb or dull or escape uncomfortable feelings. It's very common. Food is clearly the first and most convenient way that we learn as little kids to modulate our emotions, to tamp things down, to get a burst of energy, to get a sugar rush, to block or deal with other emotions that are uncomfortable and that we don't have other tools to deal with. So food, especially junk food, food with a lot of sugar and salt, which are tastes that we are designed by nature to be attracted to, because we really only need a little bit of sugar and salt in our bodies at a time, but sugar and salt are relatively rare in nature. So when we find a source of sugar and salt, our sweet and salty taste buds lead us there and encourage us to eat more. And of course now, when you go to the supermarket or wherever you shop, and especially if you use processed foods, manufactured foods in your diet, they are loaded with sugar and salt because they're not only programmed to attract us, but we have difficulty stopping. They're actually addictive substances. They're really more like drugs than they are foods. And it's difficult to kind of break that habit. Not impossible, but difficult. When we're under stress, if we don't have good stress management tools, if we don't have good stress management skills, then, and if we're not big drinkers, or maybe even if we are, or if we don't smoke cigarettes, or maybe if we do, or use other drugs, food's just a way that we can jack ourselves up and we can calm ourselves down temporarily. And the problem with them, of course, in weight loss is that the relief from the emotions or the stressful feelings is quite temporary, but the weight that we gain by putting on the high-calorie foods with sugars and salts stick to us. They hang out with us for quite a long time. So we tend to accumulate that as we get these temporary periods of relief from emotion. So we need to, if you're serious about losing weight, you want to keep it off, you want to switch to a healthier relationship with food. It's really, really important and incredibly helpful to learn some good stress management tools and to learn more about what emotional eating is about, to recognize the signs, and to develop some skills that can calm you down or boost you up as needed that don't involve substances or foods. In so many ways in America, in developed nations, we need to be grateful. We're so lucky to have food available almost all the time. As a matter of fact, more food than we can eat, so that they need to be advertised and pushed and kind of driven into our psyches by the advertisement that are pretty constant, and the packaging, and once they get us to try it, like I said, these substances are addictive. If you have any kind of addictive tendency, they create chemical reactions in the brain and the body and in the intestines that cause us to want more and more and more. The other thing about emotional eating is that, in a funny way, it may be a way that we get to express our independence. I have a good friend and a partner who's a psychologist. He used to say, I don't like to be told what to do, even if it's by me. So even if we're telling ourselves that we should eat that broccoli and we shouldn't eat those sugary snacks or those salty snacks, we might rebel against that. There might be a part of us that rebels against that. So we don't want to approach it in a punitive way. We want to approach it in a learning and growth model and give you some more skills that help you assert your independence from these habits and addictions so that you can reach the kind of weight and fitness that you want to reach. That's the whole purpose of what I'm going to share with you and of the Minding Your Weight online course that I'm going to tell you about later. How do you recognize emotional eating? Well, there's a number of different signs. One is the sudden onset of hunger, especially with cravings for particular foods, comfort foods, things that we kind of know, like, I shouldn't be eating that. I shouldn't be eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs or a bag of potato chips, and yet there's a craving for it anyhow, and it comes on rapidly. Real hunger, like physiologic hunger, comes on slowly as the body starts to signal that it needs more food. Emotional hunger can often come on quickly when we're uncomfortable, and it comes with cravings for particular foods that we've learned help to modulate or dampen down those feelings. Another thing is that once you start eating those foods, it's very difficult to stop. You reach a place and you say, that's enough, I've had plenty, but you go right to the bottom of the ice cream carton or right to the bottom of the potato chip bag where you're scooping out the crumbs. We've all been there. That's one of the signs that it's an emotional, stress-relieving process rather than a nutritional process. Nighttime grazing, eating at night when we've already had dinner and we've had plenty of food. And in many ways, we should be satisfied, but we still keep grazing and eating and finding things to eat. That's another sign. An important sign is that you feel shame or guilt or regret after emotional eating. There's a part of you that feels like you've done something wrong. And the purpose of my talk with you here and the resources I'm going to share with you is really not to blame you and not to make you feel guilty. I hope that you won't shame yourself. It's to really give you tools and skills that can help lift you out of these old habits into new, healthier habits that help you get where you want to go, to a lighter place, not only physically, but emotionally, a happier place, a more satisfied place, a place where you're not needing to use food to modulate your emotions or to reward yourself. So some people will say, look, this is so deeply ingrained in me. I've been doing this since I was a baby. Can I really change these habits? And the answer to that is yes. We have lots and lots of people who, after a lifetime and many, many trials of either having trouble losing weight or, more characteristically, having success losing weight and feeling good about that, and then after 6 months or a year or sometimes even a year and a half or 2 years, slowly gaining that weight back and having repeated periods of being able to lose weight with a good plan and dedication and sticking to that nutritional plan and exercise plan, but then finding that the weight comes back on. There are many studies in the mind-body field that show that when people add a mind-body component to their weight loss efforts, learning to relax, learning to reduce stress, learning to use guided imagery, learning to use self-hypnosis, adding that mind-body approach to your weight loss program doubles the success that you have. People who add the mind-body approach to their weight loss efforts lose twice as much weight, and they are successful in keeping it off twice as many times. This is on the same diet, the same exercise plan, whatever it is, whether it's Weight Watchers or a special diet or a custom diet. You compare people on the same nutritional and exercise program who use mind-body skills and who don't use mind-body skills. And the people who do learn and use mind-body skills are twice as successful. So this is something that's pretty easy to learn. It's actually very encouraging and satisfying. You'll feel good about learning and using these skills. And I have designed a self-paced online course called The Inner Game of Weight Loss. And I will teach you a number of ways that will reduce or eliminate emotional eating, from calming your nervous system so it isn't as easily triggered, so that you're more relaxed overall, to reducing anxiety, to becoming more mindful of what your triggers are and more mindful of when you're starting to think about emotional eating. I'll guide you through 8 specific processes, lesson by lesson, that will elevate your awareness of why you're overeating and give you alternatives to the overeating so that you can approach how you eat in a completely different way. So, if you've lost weight before but keep putting it back on, and especially if you know that emotional eating is a problem for you, then do yourself a favor and check out The Inner Game of Weight Loss. You can click on the link at the end of this video, and I'm going to offer you a special gift. You can click on that to get a sense of what this course has to offer you. There's a 90-day, 100% money-back guarantee, so you don't have anything to lose except the weight that you want to lose and the unconscious habit of emotional eating.